Welcome to Good Money Guide. Today we're joined by Michael Arbus. He's the CEO of Moomoo in Canada. We're going to have a chat with Michael about what Moomoo does, the attitudes of Canadian investors and traders, and see if we can dig out some USPs of Moomoo. So, Michael, thank you very much for joining us.
Absolutely, thank you for having me today.
So, how are things going at Moomoo? How long have you been in operation in Canada?
In Canada, we've been here for over a year, and within North America, we've been live since 2018 timeframe, and an idea since well before 2018. So we've parlayed on a lot of the experience and the successes of our company that's been around for a lot longer than Canada, and we've brought that same exceptional product and idea to Canadians, and it's a first-time idea that seems to be going quite well so far for us.
Okay, so in terms of that first-time idea, what's the one thing that you think Moomoo does really well that others don't?
Yeah, our product, and as someone who's had 25 plus years of experience in Canadian capital markets and as well global, I've seen most of the products. I've been behind the old products. I remember trading, hundreds of trades going into the tech crash of 2000 back as a young student. Into financial crises of 08, 09, sitting on an institutional trading floor, one of the largest in Canada. And I've had to use every single discount brokerage product pretty much across the board in our market. And when I chose to come across to Moomoo, I downloaded the app thinking that it would be generic, just like everyone else out there. And I was famously proven wrong. I was blown away by it, and it made me really want to push this opportunity because as a fintech professional and a finance professional, you really are what your product dictates. And if you have a product that is very difficult to replicate, which is the case with Moomoo, I think you've got a long-term sustainable competitive advantage that will really help Canadians because it's quite unique. To summarize some of the main things in that regard, it's not just about advanced charting and advanced access to information, which we have, and free services, which we have, and education and community. It's when you put it all together in a way for the average retail investor to understand and quickly access, empowering them to basically make their own decisions. That's a change in the guard from what was happening in the world where people were being pushed into using less of their brain and playing games with their money. This is the exact opposite extreme. It's bringing respect back to the investor.
Okay, so that's the broad overview of what you guys do. But looking at Moomoo specifically, is there one feature that Moomoo offers that you think, do you know what, that's really good? If you're a trader or you're an investor, this is the thing that you should be using above anything else, like the catch.
Yeah, I mean, I think every individual in their journey through in their investment cycle has different things they care about. But for me, I can tell you, when I see a little search bar, it's like the first day you used Google and you saw this white screen and said, I can type anything I want and I'm going to get everything delivered to me. In the early days, for us, we have the little search field and I can type any name, any ticker. And what spits out below that is effectively everything I need to make a decision. So it's one click, one ticker, one name, and everything stems from that, which you can drag across 7 screens and analyze as deep as you want, or look right to the bottom line, which is a summary of things. I'll give you one example of a product. There are multiple different ways to look at charts. And there's multiple different patterns that technical analysts might say, this is a bullish signal, this is a bearish signal. Now, discount brokerages are famously regulated to not provide investment advisory. However, in the world of charts, if a particular pattern is deemed to be bullish in nature or bearish, you can summarize, fact-based analysis for folks without providing an opinion. What if you were to aggregate every type of chart pattern and say, of these 20 different chart patterns, 15 of them are currently indicating a bullish pattern and the rest are neutral. And summarizing that for you in one click where you can see a little meter telling you if this is aggregate, good or bad based on chart patterns. That's an example of summarizing information for you in one click. And that's our goal. I'm a fundamentalist in my background. So I tend to look at the chart as a checkbox when I'm doing fundamental research, which we also have exceptional tools that summarize it for you. So it's really the summary of data to make it easy and empower you to make up your own mind, all through typing a click.
Yeah. Do you know what? I suppose that's where execution-only brokers have to win the business. It's adding value where you can. And I'm actually a big believer in technical analysis. That it's a great indicator of what may happen. It's not obviously going to tell you what is going to happen, but
Right.
it's just a good basis for stimulus when you're looking looking for investing ideas. Do you guys use AI for that?
I'm really glad that you asked. One of our big initiatives for the next quarter is releasing to Canada a compliant version of some of the AI tools that we use internationally. To go back to Moomoo's strength and how that applies to AI, we are located in 7 markets. We're predominantly focused on retail, DIY discount brokerage through offering an exceptional product. So if someone trading instruments in a active capital markets in Tokyo or in Hong Kong have an idea and a product manager says, this is a tool that we think is really advanced and part of the future, or someone in Malaysia in one of our offices says, this is what Malaysians like to look at. Same as our US business, which is large and full service and robust. We're all consolidating our best ideas on how to make the user experience better for our traders. And when it all comes together as a product, if you're a Moomoo Canada user, you've got access to this incredible tool that's internationally tested and being improved all the time. When you click trade, you get routed to the Canadian brokerage to execute your trade in a safe and compliant manner. But the tools you use that are getting you towards trading are global in scope and nature. And within that, AI is one of our big focuses as a firm. And it's been for some time. We're finally bringing that to Canada. And I think what Canadians will see is a clear separation between the old school discount brokerage or the, we'll do it all for you for low fees type investment strategy to, wow, I can actually have AI review chart patterns that I like and pull out 5 or 6, tickers. So for example, as a screen, instead of saying, I like stocks that fell by 10% that have a low PE multiple, you might say, add a layer to that screen saying, and fit this particular chart pattern that I like to look for. And we'll screen everything for you. And then we'll even give you notifications when it's time. And through some of our other tools, one day, and this is one of the AI proposals that we're working through right now, you might be able to do drag and drop blocks that say, if the market fall, here's an example, market falls 5%. If a stock that I've been watching on my watch list happens to fall by 7%, its PE multiple is low, and its technicals meet the patterns that I've identified I like, please execute 10% of my available cash in my account for me on the bid side using a single day order. Drag, drag, drag. Now your strategy is set up in your sleep. That's the future of AI investing. In addition to multiple analysis tools, bringing everything down to an indicator of green means you might like this based on what you've told us you like, and red, and screening everything for you. It's simplifying the journey.
I think AI is so exciting for traders and investors. I can't, I've traded for 25 plus years in various capacities, and at the forefront of your mind all the time is what strategy can I try next, and the ability to back test it and implement it with AI is going to be huge. I think any broker that just makes testing theories and testing strategies and making it easy for people to implement is going to win so much business if they can win that AI race.
And I'll layer something else into that, Richard. I agree. If you said, well, how am I going to come up with those strategies if I am just an individual trying out investing for the first time, or 5 years into my job cycle, and I've got to worry about work and putting money on, in the bank first? Well, we've got a community of 25 million people that are actually sharing their ideas. And it seems foreign to people that have been around longer. Why would I share my ideas? But this is a new world. And if you took social media and the way that the youth have grown up today and mobile first generations, they're into the sharing economy. And when their strategies and you've traded them, your performance is something you're allowed to share. And I follow like quite a few people within our app that have successful track records, and I read about some of their strategies. And some of them seem a little bit, and I'm studied in finance. Some of them are unique and novel. Some of them I've seen before, but we've got this community that can support you in coming up with your own strategies and testing them, or saying, hey, I'm thinking about, I saw one, it's just kind of interesting. Like in a US election year, on every Friday, if the market has gone down for 3 consecutive days of 2%, I go long the market at 3:30, and I hope to liquidate my position on Monday, like an S&P futures trade. Interesting ideas like that we can back test with AI, and you can bounce off of other users and you can validate all the users' track records. So it's part of linking community with AI, and that's also something that's unique to apps like Moomoo with such large scale.
That's a real old school trader strategy, isn't it? It reminds me. Did you read that Michael Lewis book about Sam Brinkman-Freud? I can't remember what it's called, but
yes, I did actually.
Because they would implement those strategies. It would be like, well, let's buy the market at 3 o'clock every Tuesday because there's a trader in Hong Kong that has a load of open orders for a fund, and it's sort of digging out those little movements in the market that was really old school, and you'd have to be really on to do it. But now that sort of almost institutional grade market analysis is becoming available to retail clients. So there isn't really so much of a need to keep your strategy secret. And actually, if there's one thing that traders love, it's talking their own book, isn't it?
Oh, that's you get accolades for that. So we've got a point system, we've got loyalty programs, we have something called paper trade, which I know is something that might be available on other apps. But here, when you paper trade, you get to share your results, and it's almost like you're building a following that one day is going to lead to loyalty and people sharing with you. So it's kind of there is incentive to share within our community, at least. And that's one of our initiatives, is to how do we empower people and reward them for helping the rest of the community. It's a subset of what we're doing that, a typical discount broker says, I want to give you limit orders and market orders and access and talk about trade tech. We want to talk about empowering people through making it easy for them to come up with ideas on their own, and a community to bounce it off of, and just win, outperform. And if you're using an app from, this is another marketing message that I like to talk about, and I don't know how to say it well in our marketing content yet, but if you're using tools of the future, of which AI is one subset of it, involvement in crypto, while in Canada today, we're not a licensed crypto broker. That was my background immediately prior to this. But our tools that allow you to analyze crypto and read crypto are superior to, in my opinion, to other tools on the market available in Canada. So we actually are a proven place for you to do all of your research, which we offer for free today. Access to all levels of data, news. The way we sort news is designed by traders, but retail traders that just want to outperform together.
Okay. And is there a big appetite for crypto in Canada?
Well, it takes me back to my old roots, but there were Canada was very advanced in its decision to open up regulation. And with regulation came clarity, but also higher costs and less flexibility of what you were able to offer. So the early days of Canada, we had great adoption rates, and we were doing everything. We were doing DeFi products, Web3 products, and centralized exchanges. There were lots of them. Lots of entrepreneurs were using white labeled exchanges and targeting users through the internet and online, and some offline. So it was the same as any other market. But when regulation came in, the cost of staying compliant made it real, and also the expertise of folks that you had to have working for you. A lot of them came from the securities industry, and as you know, securities industry people are famously overpaid. So that knocked a lot of competition out. Some people aggregated and acquired all exchanges. Some exchanges shut down. But yeah, our adoption rates were comparable to markets like Australia. We were quite advanced, and now we have a nice, I'm not going to say flawless, but we're one of the few regimes that actually have continued to improve in regulation. So it is a safer world for investing in crypto here. And I think if I were, Gen Z, fresh graduate from Berkeley, I might say, it's kind of boring now. They don't do DeFi yet because it's very hard to regulate some pieces. But we're very active in crypto in Canada for sure.
Okay. I'm a big fan of regulation, and I'm a big fan of getting regulation in early. just from a client protection point of view? Because there becomes a point when they're no longer mucking about, if they're mucking about with $100 on an unregulated offshore exchange, doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. But,
Yes.
the more serious an asset class becomes and the more popular it becomes, regulation does need to step in and make sure that people are trading with, with proper providers. But that being said, what do people trade on Moomoo? What are the most popular markets that you see your customers getting involved in?
We are in Canada. We're fortunate that we have a staple set of banks and energy companies and some large scale mining companies and a couple of tech giants that have reached outside of Canada. So we've got a universe of large cap, stable investments to where most retail IAs will force their clients into a portfolio of those types of names. So what we tend to see, like on the risk side, so for someone who maybe has a 40-year investment horizon till retirement or 30 years, there's not a lot in Canada other than micro cap to mid cap equities. The options market here has very limited liquidity, and retail folks don't tend to be well educated in how to execute Canadian option trades. Some of our exchanges here, like the Montreal Stock Exchange, has some great educational initiatives that they're focused on to try to improve that knowledge, but the liquidity and the mispricing today that's out there doesn't make it a great place for a junior options trader. That's a long way to say our clients who tend to be more active in their trading appetite tend to move through us to trade US options and equities. So we are, I guess, one of our statements that we talk about internally is our target audience are those that really want great execution of US options and US equities. And by the way, we can also do everything in Canada too for you in a regulated manner, because we are regulated. We have the same insurance protections. We have the same in fact, we have more services. We have, I don't want to say this without verifying, but I think we have more order types than any other broker in Canada for Canadian exchanges. We control that. So the features that you get layered on top of your experience in trading are superior here. But it's US options and equities.
It's quite interesting. It sounds quite similar to the UK, actually. So options trading is just not a thing over here. I mean, I think it's because we've got financial spread betting and CFDs, but
Yeah.
the UK investors just have zero interest in options. We every now and again I see a US broker trying to offer options in the UK, and there's a big sort of hoo-ha about it, and then no one understands. No one understands how to do it. It's funny how different regions have approached options, but US equities and markets, yeah, they're massive. And actually, one of the things I did notice about Moomoo as well when I was doing my research is your FX fees, because one of the main ways brokers in the UK make money is obviously everybody wants to buy US stocks, but your FX fees, I'm right in thinking, are quite low, aren't they? They're 0.09%, and then a couple of dollars on top for converting Canadian dollars. So how do you, if you're seeing a lot of flow over to the US, how does it sort of, every broker, I mean nothing's for free, brokers have to make money. If your FX rates are so low, is it still a profitable corridor for you, sending customers trading over in the States?
Yeah, there's lots of ways that discount brokers try to make money, but you're right to highlight margins have compressed across the board, and services being offered have gone up. So the cost of doing business in the discount brokerage space has gone up and margins are lower. So what you see, for example, in my Canadian competitors is you'll see articles of full service brokers where fees are significantly higher are poaching from anyone in the discount brokerage network that have over a certain net worth. So they'll try to pull you back into the loop that you've proudly left of higher fees and perceived higher value from full service. For the FX piece, we don't make a lot of money on it today. And most clients will come in, you do your initial, let's say you have Canadian dollars, you're Canadian resident, or you do your single FX, and then you leave your funds in US dollars and you trade your portfolio and sort of leave it there. People aren't, foreign exchanging back and forth. If they did, we've chosen to not take large margins off of our clients from foreign exchange fees. We just want you to get in, get you trading. We're on the lower end of fees for commission. And the way discount brokerage tend to make their money is through margin and margin rates, and also uninvested cash rates. So there's some opportunities for a discount brokerage to make a little bit of money. The best part of it is if you have a long-term vision, which is what Futu's vision and Moomoo's vision is in Canada, we're actually prepared to do business at extremely low margin for a very long period of time, because we think our product is superior, that once Canadians come to realizing that, it'll be very difficult for my competitors here to build something even close, remotely comparable, without spending considerable time and money and skills that I don't even know if they exist locally to do that, because we have such a stringent tech market for labor. So I feel like FX is not a place where we're going to go for it. And you're right to point out that we are not making a lot of money, and it's not our plan to do that for a very long time. We're here to grow and put our stake in the ground as a Canadian company.
If there's one bit of advice you could give to Canadian investors and traders, obviously, we can't give advice, but if there were some tips and tricks you could suggest to Canadian investors and traders that could help them make more of their money or improve their trading and investing, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I'd say a few things, but the first would be improve your financial literacy. If you want to have money, you need to be passionate about and speak money. And a great place to improve your literacy is on an app like ours, which doesn't cost you anything to download and use. We've got education centers, we've got news flow. I like to say this, but make business and flow of funds like your sport. Why waste your time on sports betting and things that don't make you money? Get some money in the bank and focus on it. So that's point one. Point two, I think an explored area for most retail investors is the use of options for income. And I'll give you an example of a strategy that I try to talk about and point out examples. But blue chip names that sell off with the broader market, that have volatility spikes when sell-offs are happening, and when volatility spikes, you can collect really juicy income through selling put options on blue chip names out of the money, so deep below the money. And if that's a lot of words for your audience, basically picture yourself collecting a few $100s and every couple of months on blue chip names and building an income portfolio for yourself. And if the stock market happens to fall on a blue chip name, the worst case scenario is you've bought a blue chip name below where it was trading on the day you sold the option. So I think it's one example of how you can use options for income in a low risk manner that most people in Canada and most people in North America and abroad don't do. I enjoy doing it, and it's nice having income from low risk strategies using options.
And where would you suggest, so if someone has just listened to this and think, oh, buying puts, that sounds interesting. Do you have educational material on Moomoo that will explain that strategy?
Absolutely. We have endless option examples, and we've got a paper trade section where you can open up and practice it and put a few blue chip names out there that you're following already, and try selling put options and see what happens and watch what the balances do in your account. Within the Moomoo education piece, we talk about put selling as well.
Okay. Well, let's finish on one question that I couldn't find an answer for. Where does the name Moomoo come from? So whenever I write reviews, I always try and come up with like a punny title, and I was thinking, moo, is it a cow because it's bullish? Where's the name Moomoo come from?
Well, I asked the same question, and as it turns out, not if you're sure you would be aware of this, but a bull does make the sound moo.
Right. Okay.
But it's not its primary sound. In the North American version of the children's song, it's a cow that would say moo. So you'd say, well, Moomoo is a cow, but actually bulls do moo. But that is not the nature of where our name came from. It was our founders, one of the founders in discussion at home in the early days, when saying, how do we really bring this to the masses and get people to remember us? And and someone just threw the name out there and bought the website, just like any other fintech startup, and went with it. But I've heard it said that moo is the sound of a bull. I had to look that up myself as a Canadian, and it's actually true. But
Okay.
I think it's memorable, and for me, if you look through the crypto, you're trying to compete as a brand against established institutions that have been around for hundreds of years, where they offer the entire gamut of services, but we just want that one small slice of the consumer's wallet, and we want to do it better. And we don't have 100 years to get there. We're already doing it better. We just need people to take a look, to look up from their phone when they hear the sound of a mooing bull on their television set. So we thought that would
Does the
stick.
app moo when you trade instead of the bell?
Give it a shake. Yeah.
It gives you a moo. Do you know, it's so funny. I ask this question a lot from from people I interview, and quite often it's we just made the name up. It's where does the name come? Oh, we just made it up. We
Yeah.
couldn't think of a
And
name.
it sticks.
Okay, well look, that's brilliant. Look, really interesting to chat to you about Moomoo. I'm really looking forward to having a play about with it. We'll put some money on account and put some trades on and find some interesting Canadian markets and stocks to invest in. And we'll also try out the buying put strategy. I was an options trader back in the day, so it'll be nice to do a bit more options trading. Michael, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for telling us about Moomoo.
Thank you, Richard. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to a good money guide taking over Canada.
I hope so.